Artist Wallace Herndon Smith was born into an affluent St. Louis family in 1901. He studied theater and architecture. It was through architecture that he discovered his love of painting.
Watercolors occupy an interesting place in his body of work, I think. In terms of painting, watercolor was the first activity that he really undertook because he started out studying to be an architect, and watercolor is used many times by people studying architecture and by architects for enhancing and filling in detail of architectural drawings. A lot of times architectural drawings will be rendered in pen or pencil or some sort of graphic medium, and then the watercolor washes will give an atmosphere and give a stronger sense of space so that you can imagine the architectural form through the watercolor. So this is the direction that he came to watercolor. And I know that he started out as a watercolor painter, and very early in the 1930s won a prize for his watercolors. And so I think that was a signal to him that he was moving in the right direction. So watercolor, I think, again, occupies an important place in his career, although I think that he's become better known for his oils. Smith was coming at an interesting time in the development of American art, a peculiarly American art. He was coming of age as a painter in that transition point between regionalism, this style that emphasizes realism, and the transition to abstract art, which of course made New York the center of the art world starting in the 1940s and beyond. And Smith was a sort of bridge, time-wise, chronologically, between those two movements in American art. He was extremely well-versed in theory. He knew more about modern art than probably any of his contemporaries. He went to Paris, he went to museums, he did his research. But very interestingly, he was just not one to change or to follow a trend or a fashion. He stayed committed to his ideals and to the project of rendering form solidly on the canvas and unifying it and making it a delightful composition to behold. He was really, really interested in modernist artists, particularly French modernist artists. He loved Matisse. As much as he was interested in some of the French modernist painters, he never went as far as they did in terms of experimentation with color and with the loosening up of form. It may be one of the reasons why Wally Smith is not better known. He never became interested in radical abstract experimentation. So he was slightly out of fashion at the time in American art, which is not to say that he was not a great artist. I think in many ways his dedication to his craft makes him stand out among any of the realist painters of the 20th century in the United States. I have never seen a body of work that represented such steadfast commitment to the kinds of artistic ideals that he was interested in. If history is going to go back and sort of right a wrong, I think it's going to go back and notice that through all of the other fashions that came and went in the 20th century in the history of American painting, Smith never strayed from his course, and he just remained a very, very, very solid, very, very passionate painter. And I have to imagine that history is going to eventually give him his due.